Okay, just wanted to do a video about some of the things I did not like about Final Fantasy VII Remake. First off, I actually love the game. I have over 100 hours on it. I've gotten just about everything. There's a few things I'm missing. I think it's a lot of fun, very well done, but it does have some issues. I'm hoping that a video like this could somehow reach the developers. They could take this constructive criticism to take the next part of the remake series to the next level. So here's some of my criticisms and some of the things I did not like about the game. Um, so the first thing, I guess I'll just talk about like kind of a quality of life thing, is the menu for upgrading weapons is not that great. First of all, it's like it zooms into that node thing, which is fine. That's cool. But when you have to keep going back to it to check the abilities that you've unlocked for those weapons, it gets a little annoying. And those nodes are like spinning around. And so when you try to upgrade something, it's like you're chasing, a node that keeps moving. So you end up just hitting one direction and you just cycle through all the different things until you see that it doesn't have an unlocked thing next to it, right? And I know they put like an auto feature, but I don't think that's better. So I want to unlock them myself. I want to see it, and then I want to be able to compare each weapon so that there's like a list where it's like, oh, this weapon has reprieve, but this one has trade off, and that's why it's not as strong because you can get your MP back. Oh, like I just want to be able to see a list, a compare and contrast list of the different abilities for each weapon. That would be awesome. So then that's just my kind of like the one quality of life thing, I guess, that comes to mind right now. The next thing would be just some of the aerial combat stuff. I know a lot of people have mentioned this, but like I guess like Tifa's not too bad because when you do unbridled strength twice, like her combo gets really long in the air, which can be all right. But if the flying enemy just keeps moving, she can't hit him at all. Um, so I think ways to fix that would be in the next game. One would be long range materia. Cloud could develop like kind of a mid rangey type beam thing that comes off of his sword. It could be purple materia. Kind of like, Deadly Dodge gives you a new combo or Parry gives you a new move. Long range materia could give you like a new move that you can just at least hit the guy so you can get some ATB going. Even if it doesn't do that much damage, just hitting him just to build the ATB bar up so you can cast something would be nice. Um, or maybe have a new ability for Cloud that's kind of like when you're on the bike in the minigame, he shoots that beam off. Like maybe you can get that hits enemies in the air. Maybe introduce a gravity materia that actually grounds enemies. It like grabs them and brings them down to the ground, and you can wail on them then. The other thing that would be cool is maybe just like a dual tech between characters where um, Cloud could like toss his sword up to Tifa and she like takes it and smacks the thing down. You know, dude, that would be so cool if they incorporate dual tech type abilities that are really like purposeful. You know, so if Cloud and Tifa had an ability to ground an enemy in some way. Either, she kicks off the wall and grabs it and Cloud's waiting there to smack it. That would be cool. Or he throws a sword up to her. Just something that can just help the player out just so it's not so frustrating because the camera gets all wonky and everything when you're up in the air. I just need something to help control that a little better. If you're not going to have a ranged character with you, maybe that won't be much of an issue in the following games when you get people like Yuffie, Vincent, maybe Sid will be pretty good with it as a Dragoon type character. But that could be even the third game. I don't know. The next thing that I didn't quite like was there was just a couple selections in the music. The music is great, but there's a couple selections that were like really techno-y, and I just didn't. It just didn't feel very Final Fantasy VII to me. But that could just be my personal preferences. But that's just my thought on it. The next thing I didn't like was I did not like the dance off between Cloud and Andrea. I thought that the dance off was very out of character for Cloud, and you have to like it's already a fantasy game, so you have to suspend your belief about stuff. But like when it's like this choreographed hip hop dance between Cloud and they're like moving in sync with each other, and it was just like, where's this coming from? You know, like I can't even in a game where you have to suspend belief, I couldn't like suspend belief enough for that part. Luckily, it's like not that big a deal, but I just didn't like that, and I thought there could have been a way you could do it where instead of Andrea and him dancing together, Andrea's like there, like impress me, and he wants Cloud to impress him, and Cloud is like I don't know how to dance, but and then he like just does like his like moves and chore like his moves and training from Soldier, and kind of like in the practice session of the dance part where he's kind of like just like using his sword and he's moving very gracefully and stuff like people, and it would have been cool to see like people be like, what is he doing, and then they're like, oh wow, that was like quite elegant, that was actually like amazing, and then Aerith could be like, wow, Cloud, I didn't know what you were going to do there, but that ended up working. I'm glad that Andrea liked it and we got you the dress, and then Cloud's just like, yeah, this is great, like that would have been way more in character for Cloud. So yeah, I just didn't like that part. I just thought it was kind of dumb, and it wasn't like funny, silly dumb. It was just like silly dumb, not funny, you know. So wasn't into that. Um, I guess okay. So now the next big thing. This is a big thing that I really hope. I hope somebody hears this for the development team. The level design. So there are so many ladders. There's so many ladders that you have to climb and climb down and like get off ledges with just ladders. Like there's even some ladders that are just like a tiny little ladder. It's like a half of a ladder or less. And instead of Cloud just like hopping off the ledge, he has to like get down and then like go down twice and then let go. And it's like, why wouldn't he just hop off? Like why does he have to climb down this section of a ladder? So that like it's not like it's not fun to like keep moving through this world and hearing the music and the characters interact. I love all that, but there's just like there's just so much of the same thing, and they built a lot of assets too, and just didn't use them. So like, and yeah, and that, like the other, so I'll get to that in a second. But part of the ladders thing is it kind of it kills the momentum a little. Um, and I guess the thing that does this even more so are those parts where you have to like crawl under something or like put your back up against the wall and shimmy by. And I understand that that's a technical solution for loading times or something like that. That's what my understanding of a lot of those are. So I get it, and I don't fault them for that exactly. But if it can be helped, then try to add in different assets, or at least make the spot where you're shimmying through look like it needs to be shimmied through. Like there's a part in Chapter 4 where Cloud is literally like this against a fence, and there's a semi truck behind him, and the opening is so big that you could just walk through it. So it doesn't really make sense why he's like trying to like go across this fence and not be noticed, especially when it's like a spot that you wouldn't do that in, and there's a dude with a giant sword and spiky hair, and they're like looking for him, and he's just like uh, really slowly, and it's like, dude, someone would notice you. So I just thought that was stupid. And right before that, there's even a spot where he's talking to Biggs, and Biggs hops over this like half wall thing, and Cloud like hops up a dumpster and then hops over, and it's like a nice quick fluid movement, and it happens once. There's not a single place in the game where that animation occurs again. It's like, why wouldn't you guys use your assets you made? You know, like, or those things where you jump over those, you just see those hops over something really quick, or when he like slides down something, like when he's with Aerith, there's like this big slide, or at the end of the game when it's all Advent Children like, and he's sliding down those broken roads that are like slanted. It's like, couldn't they use those instead so that the player feels like they're moving more instead of like stopping, like getting back slowly, like going through something, I just it just seems to me that they built these cool assets and then they just didn't want to use them, you know um So yeah, I guess like let's say oh, yeah. So the level design, right? So there's parts in the game that have like a little gimmick to them, where it's like Barrett is shooting rubble, or Red 13, you have to tell him to run on the wall, you know. Or it's when you have to raise the water level or lower it in the sewers with Tifa and Aerith. And my problem with it is that they just make you do it so many times in one place. If they would have developed those assets and then used them in different areas of the game, more spread out, it would have felt a lot more fun. So, like, imagine that there's some rubble and you're in the field and you choose Barrett and he shoots it, okay? And then you have Cloud jump over something or slide down something and he hits a switch that needs to be primed with a um, like a thunder materia, you know. So like Aerith could use like a thunder spell on a generator while Cloud like pumps this thing, you know. Um, and if you didn't have, you know, and maybe if you didn't have a leveled up thunder materia, you couldn't go that way. You'd have to come back there later. That would make it a lot more fun. I just want there to be like a level, like a little bit more variety, and maybe a character specific things. Like maybe Red 13 can only get to an area, or maybe he can smell something out with his nose in the next game, right? Um, so yeah, and I guess the other thing I didn't like was like how Tifa's, like some of Tifa's like climbing stuff is like a little. It's just like really clunky. It just does not feel very fluid, especially when you consider like how graceful and quick she is in combat. It's like I don't really see why she'd be having trouble climbing over this stuff. Um, And yeah, so I mean, I kind of mentioned there the materia being used. In Walmart, it has like a hint of this. It's like depending on what level your materia is, it can give you a better outcome for side quests in the Wall Market segment. So I think that's kind of cool. I think they should revisit that and maybe do like more of like a God of War thing with it. You know, like in God of War, when you have like the Blades of Chaos that have a fire element kind of attached to them, you can break through these vines and stuff that need that fire to like burn them up. Maybe just do that. Maybe if you equip the fire elemental combination on your sword, you can rip through some stuff and burn it up or whatever. I don't know. I mean, maybe some people would think that's stupid, but I always think that it's fun to have like Metroidvania style elements in games where you have to get some new abilities or equipment in order to traverse through an area. You know, I always thought that's very fun, and it seems like they like hinted at stuff like that in this game, but never delivered on it. Um, and it's like they developed these assets and then just like plugged them in to the one chapter and then like never went back to try to see if they could utilize them. So yeah, like the grappling hook is another good example, right? Like that grappling hook, you do it like several times, like 10 times in one chapter, but you never have to use them again. And there's nowhere to go back to use them that like maybe you saw earlier in the game and you're like, oh, I don't know how to get there. But like once you get that grappling hook, you'd be like, oh, dude, let's go back to sector, 5 or 7 or whatever, and see what's up there. So yeah, yeah, or maybe you could use like material like Asuna to heal a sick person, you know, for like a side quest. Um, yeah. So I guess the other thing I didn't like was concerning the level design a little bit too, and just like kind of like the consistency of the world is there's that segment where you have to move operate those robot arms with Aerith, and that's fine. It's just that once again it happens so many times in a row in one place, and it's a little unbelievable because we've already seen Cloud like jump super high in many segments of the game and in story, and there's clearly spaces in that area where he could just clear. And you're trying. The point is that you're trying to get Aerith up there so she can kick a ladder down. When really Cloud could just like jump up there and kick the ladder down for her. So I think a way to make that spot better would have been to have Cloud kick down the ladder, until you get to one that's like way up there, and then you really need to operate the thing and do that puzzle, make that one big puzzle. And yeah, I just think that would have been a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun too, if you get to like traverse some stuff with Cloud throughout that instead of just operating those hands the whole time. Yeah, there's other spots too where it just seems like Cloud could clear it. Like when you're in the sewers with Tifa and Aerith, and he's like balancing on these beams and like these little and trying to raise the water level, and it's like, dude, just jump over it. Like everyone except for Aerith could jump over that. I'm pretty sure. Like Tifa and Cloud could just like clear it. They're athletic enough. They're super powered. They can basically fly, in battle. So why not just let them jump over some stuff and give the player a sense of momentum, and uh, you know, it'll be a little more fun that way. I don't necessarily mean you need to have a jump button. I just we know we can do that, so why doesn't he do it? I guess the other thing I didn't like was when you, and this didn't affect me that much when I played the game, but I know a lot of people it happened to, and it did happen to me sometimes. And losing your ATB or MP because of a cutscene during a boss fight, just make the health bar new for each segment, and then that would fix that. The other thing I didn't like, which I mentioned before, was the plot ghost armor. Um, I'm not against the whispers entirely or anything like that. I just thought the part where Sephiroth is the apparition thing of Sephiroth stabs Barrett, but the whispers like stop it from happening wasn't a good move. It should have been more subtle, like he just gets injured or they deflect it entirely, and so you're not really sure what they're about and what they're trying to do. It was just so overt, and took the drama out of the next few sequences because now you have plot ghost armor, and your characters can't die, right? So luckily you kill them though to get rid of them. But yeah, I didn't like that. During that segment or during the chase segment on the bike. So, speaking of the mini bike thing was fun. I thought it was cool. I just wish your material loadout mattered. Like you could cast some spells while on the bike. It would matter like what elemental stuff you have equipped on your sword, or on your armor for it. That would have been nice. And then I guess the last thing I didn't like, which this wasn't bad. It's just that after completing the game, it's just something I kind of realized would have been cooler is if you obtained the summon material differently. In this game, most of it is right. It's developed by Chadley through virtual simulation, and I think it would have been a lot cooler to obtain summon materia through fighting Roche and Scarlet. So I think if Roche would have been an encounter a few more times in the game, and he uses a summon and fights you with the summon, that would have been pretty sweet. Like if you got like Ifrit that way, like he casts Ifrit, and you fight Ifrit and defeat Ifrit, defeat Roche, and you take that summon materia from him. That would be pretty sweet. Same with Scarlet. She was like developing materia in that one scene, so it'd be kind of cool if she wanted to like try one out on you. I think in the next game there would be a good opportunity to do that in Gungaga at the broken, busted reactor. In the original game, you get the Titan summon materia there. I think it'd be really cool for Scarlet to show up there and have a giant Shinra mech fight you, and then she casts a Titan summon on you that she's developed or got somehow, and you defeat her and obtain the Titan summon from her that way. So anyway, those are some of the things I didn't like about the game, I guess, or just were being very critical about. I still loved the game. I still had a lot of fun. I think the combat is awesome, and the combat we could talk about more. I guess the last thing I could mention with the combat would just be that synergy materia is useless. There's no benefit to using synergy materia at all. You don't save ATB, you don't save MP by using it, and it casts the first tier of the spell as well. The best way to fix synergy materia would be to make it so that there's an upgrade for it in the next game or something where it doesn't cost an ATB charge, or something like that. I don't know. Or just change how it works entirely. Because right now it doesn't serve any purpose. It seems like kind of an afterthought or something that they weren't able to finish. But really, you can just there's no point to using it. You just have to switch. You might as well just hit the shoulder button and switch to the character, and have them do what you want them to do. So yeah, those are all things I guess that I didn't like about the game. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything, but yeah, I'm very excited for the series though. In case this is the first time you're watching any of my stuff, I don't. It's not like I hate this game. This might sound negative, but hopefully I offered enough criticism, constructive criticism. I'm hoping like the developers could even see this and say, hey, yeah, those are some good ideas, or that made us think of something else that we could do with that section or whatever, so that they can improve this series for part 2 and 3 and whatever, and really knock the gameplay out of the park. I know that there's that one guy, his last name's Endo, and he's the battle director, and he did say in a quote in Ultimania translation that he wanted to be more involved in the gameplay for other aspects of the game. Well, I don't know if you're gonna see this, dude, but or maybe you already thought of it because the battle system is amazing, and I'd be really interested to see what he could do with the gameplay and other aspects. All right, so that's the video. Stuff that I didn't necessarily like about the game. All right, later, guys.